What's up everybody? On this episode of Solve Fix Build, I'm going to show you how to convert your Shapeoko 3 to the new HDZ Z-axis. Alright, so that is pretty much effed. Foobar, snafu, all messed up. It slipped off the axis a couple times. I think it's time for a reinforced Z-axis. What do you think? So I just took the new Shapeoko Z-axis out of the box. This is the HDZ. This is a reinforced Z-axis that you can get from Carbide 3D. And it is beautiful. I mean, this thing is super nice. It's really heavy. This probably weighs 20 pounds-ish. And you can see that the major difference here is, of course, this is pretty rigid. It's running on linear rails, but it's screw-driven rather than belt-driven. And that's going to be the major difference between how this approaches the Z height control versus how that approaches the Z height control. One of the issues with that is that if the motor is turning like this to move the Z-axis up and down, when it reaches resistance, the belt's going to slip or it's going to slide on the pulley. And on this, of course, you have much more rigidity, so you're not going to have that problem. I haven't gone through all the instructions yet, but the way that this is likely going to work is that motor here on this motor on the Z-axis is going to come off and get put on here. And I've got new things for V-wheels and all those things. As a testament to how much tighter you can get these eccentric nuts on the bottom of this new Z-axis, I tightened them down as good as I could, and then I heard a crack, and I cracked the top roller up here. So I have to remove this one, but you can get these way tighter than the stock Z-axis that comes with the Shapeoko. There's no rock here because I tightened these eccentric nuts on the rollers that go up and down the Y. No rock in this direction. There's no rock in that direction. This almost seems like it's backwards. I have to upgrade the firmware on the controller, and that firmware is called GRBL. I don't know what GRBL actually stands for. GRBL is a free open source high performance software for controlling the motion of machines that move and make things. So yeah, GRBL is the firmware that operates this board back here and makes this thing work. There is a document on Carbide 3D's website called the Carbide Updater. You can see the link, docs.carbide3d.com/support/Carbide Updater. And this shows you how to do this. You can upgrade. Now, one of the problems I have is that I don't have limit switches. My machine is an older machine. It is model number 2700. And I don't remember when I bought this, but I think it was 2016-ish or so. So I was right before they started offering limit switches standard. So I don't have limit switches. I go on the Carbide 3D website, no limit switches. So I've contacted Brandon Lee over there at Carbide 3D, who seems to be a really helpful dude, and I would like to buy some limit switches, and I hope he can supply them for me. So I just talked to Brandon at Carbide 3D, super helpful dude. One thing he pointed out to me is that this right here is the difference between being able to add limit switches or not. These are holes that have these pressed in, I think he called them pin nuts, and they're like pressed in threads, and you would mount your limit switches here. And he also corrected me, they're not necessarily limit switches, they're called homing switches for a reason. What they do is, I think how this is going to operate is when I install them, when I turn on the machine, it's going to go zzz, 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 and it's going to home itself. It's going to figure out where its limits are and then come back. And then it will be calibrated and ready to go from there. So the way it works right now is I just turn it on and it's ready to go. But that's because I have a standard size Shapeoko 3. If you have an expansion pack or anything else, it needs to figure out where its limits are first, and then you can start cutting. So I think that'll change once I install my limit switches. So there it is. It's waiting some new parts that are from Robot Shop, and I must clarify that Carbide 3D gave me new homing switches for free with my purchase of the HDZ. How awesome is that? Carbide 3D is awesome. But from Robot Shop, I also got a zeroing mechanism, whatever that's called, the the ding dang, the thingamajig, that thing that you connect up here that it touches and it like probes and determines where the zero is. I got one of those from them, Robot Shop. You gotta go to carbide3d.com support/carbide updater.
And this gives you an executable that you download. And then you open the thing up. Red updater looks to be the application. Okay. So it says search for machines. Now I have mine on, and that needs to happen. Ooh, just shut off. Current GRBL version is 0.9, which is outdated. To update, hold the Z limit switch and press yes. I'm gonna hold the Z limit switch and hit yes, and hopefully this works. Make sure you don't release the Z limit switch. Okay. I don't recall doing that, but yes. Okay, well, I didn't change anything, so what the fuck? There is a right there above the switches right here. There's this little blue, there's a button. See, it makes a blue light come on. That's what I had to hold down to do the flash update, and it said that it's successfully installed. So it wasn't the Z limit switch, it was that button. And I just took a guess at that because I was looking through the Carbide 3D forums, and I heard somebody say something about that. So that wasn't clear really anywhere in any kind of instruction, but that seems to have done it. Now I haven't tested it yet, but we'll see if it worked out. Bring up Carbide Motion. I think I'm on. I should be on. So let's say connect to cutter. Okay, I didn't get an error. Now what do I do? I might just need to run the homing process. So if I hit this, it should begin the homing cycle. So, okay, so a couple things. Just working my way through this. See this build 417? I had to specifically search for it. It's beta software, and if you go to the Carbide 3D website, you can only get 416. So I'm going to download this and install it. And alright, so I just got this installed. It wasn't very hard. It's like a 60 megabyte file or something. And you can see the difference here. Now there's my little enable Shapeoko HDZ button. I wouldn't have been able to install this without having the GRBL 1.1 reflashed. So it's a good thing I got that done. We're going to do this. And I'm going to go to jog. And it says, okay, let's initialize the machine and do the homing cycle. So let's see what it does. Oh, we're going the wrong way again. And let's see if it gives me an error. Yep, couldn't find the limit switch. Well, that's because you don't know which way you're going. So, okay, a little bit more reading, and I think this is how you do it. You go to settings, you got that checked, and then you send config data. And I think that does it. So now I can go to jog. Let's try to home it and see what she does. Yeah, there we go. That worked. Hit the limit switch. Okay, well, did you figure it out? Homing failed. Couldn't find the limit switch. Really? That's great. Thanks. Okay, so I found that down here, this active inputs, if you test them, so I'm going to press the Y limit switch and watch what it does. So it's rammed against my Z right now, so it's finally seen that. It sees Y, and here's X. There. Now a second ago that said probe, and so I went and reconnected these things, and then that light came back on. The light was off before, I don't know why. So let's see what this does if I try to hold it one more time. And this is fun, isn't it? Jog. Initialize machine. Okay. Let limit switch error, Z. Okay, homing failed, pull off didn't clear. So I'm going to restart Carbide Motion and try again. You can see this a lot easier now. Took this off. I was going to flip it over because I had it mounted upside down all this time. Didn't really matter, but so these are two Y motors. This is your X motor and this is your Z motor. And you can see just barely in there. Kind of hard to see. It barely is marked. X limit, Y limit, Z limit, probe, and feed hold. In my board version, which is important for you, is 2.4C. So you need to look at yours and see if what I'm doing is applicable to you. Mine's a little older. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there about the 2.4D and up, and you know, mine's just I was right on the edge of a generational change, but I didn't even know that when I bought this. I think I bought this 2 years ago. Something else interesting, remember when I showed you that I had to press this little button and make it work? That's the, you can see it. This button right here says prog, P-R-G, P-R-O-G. You press that button, and that's what I did to flash this to GRBL 1.1. There's another button over here. It says reset. I don't know what that does, but important to know. Stuff for the limit switches. There's X, Y, Z, and probe, and so probe takes up the 7th and 8th pins from the left if you've got your board oriented this way. And then over here are 6 pins that are sitting out, and what I can tell is I need to plug this one in for power in the upper left hand pin of the grid of 6, the upper left hand. So let's see if that works, but you know, I still have my Z limit switch issues, so I probably have to buy new homing switches. Okay, I hope we got here. New limit switch installed. I got the probe set up. I got this board completely reoriented back here. Trying home again. Let's see what happens. Oh, I should probably fix that back there. One sec. Wow. Alright, sweet. Oh, this is like superior. This is sweet. So both Carbide Create and Carbide Motion are beta versions on my PC right now. And this is because the Carbide Motion is a beta version for the HDZ on purpose. It's version 4.17. Carbide Create has to be in version 4 a beta version because it is accommodating Windows 7, which is what I'm running, and I should probably run a different version of Windows or just get a new laptop because this one's getting kind of screwed up. I had to replace the Z limit switch, which fixed my homing problem. The issue with getting it to operate such that it didn't think down was up and up was down was that when you go to your settings, you gotta select your unit and say use Shapeoko HDZ and then say send config data, and that will get your reverse Z directions fixed. And one thing that's pretty cool now is I'm going to initialize the machine and I'm going to go to the homing cycle, and it's already actually in its homed position, so it's going to hit Z first, and then it's going to hit the X, and then it's going to hit the Y, and this should all happen pretty fast because it's already there. So watch. It's got Z. There's the X. And it already did the Y at the same time. So it's ready to go now. It's technically zeroed. And what's really cool and the new features here are pretty sweet. Like watch this. You can go to rapid position and they give you a matrix here. So if I want to go to center, I hit center. And now it knows where center is. That's the exact center of this whole Shapeoko platform. So that's pretty sweet. I have my probe meter set up. I did try that and it did weird things on me. So I'm not quite sure how to use that yet. I'll probably make a separate video. But right now, HDZ on the Shapeoko 3 is functional. Thanks for watching another episode of Solve, Fix, Build. I'm Davian Hill. I really appreciate you watching these videos. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you want to watch more of these. I'll make more of this, and I'd love to hear your feedback on what you like about the video and what you don't. For this particular setup with the Carbide 3D HDZ axis, there was so much detail in not just the mechanical side of getting it reconfigured. I think that's actually the simple part. The hard part was reconciling all the software stuff. There was not a lot of clear instruction that I could find on the fact that I needed version 4.17, not version 4.16. There is a YouTube video, which I will provide a link for down below in the description, that Carbide 3D made that shows the installation. And they do mention in that video, you just got to watch the whole thing to see it, that, hey, by the way, version 4.17 is critical for this. So I hope that's more clear here. I'm going to also send this video to Carbide 3D, and hopefully they can use this as they need to, and if it helps any of you that are out there in the hobby community with the Shapeoko, which is an awesome machine, by the way. I mean, I can't even imagine having this kind of capability in my own shop even a few years ago. It's just, this thing has really changed the way that I work. So it's an awesome machine, and I'm not complaining at all about any of this. The fact that you can just get the software, and it was something that I was able to resolve in a couple days, is actually pretty awesome. So that's all really good. Carbide 3D, great work. Shapeoko, thanks for being an awesome machine. HDZ, well worth it. I mean, I just machined the remaining parts of steel that I'm going to do with my transmission crossmember, which I'll show you here in a second. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for the next video, because this is what I've been making with the HDZ. It's a transmission crossmember all out of steel. So that's why I wanted the HDZ, and that's be another video coming soon. So again, if you like the videos, hit like. If you like to see more of them, subscribe please. I really appreciate it. It helps me make more videos like this, and it's good to work with other people that like these kinds of things. So thanks a lot.